That song legal in the province of Quebec, but you know what's not legal anymore? Go Habs Go. OQLF telling the STM to knock it off with using the word go when they support local Montreal sports teams, including the Canadiens. You may have seen it already. Now it says Allez, Canadiens, allez. Let's go to Eric Duhaime, who is leader of the Conservative Party of Quebec. Eric, welcome back to the show.
Always a pleasure.
All right, you see this story this morning. What do you think?
Of course. Well, I think it's ridiculous, obviously. I mean, we have so many problems right now in Quebec. Look at what's going on in our hospitals. The fact that this morning people in Montreal are paying 25 cents more per liter their gas than in Ontario because of a carbon tax that is ridiculous. We have tons of problems. We have immigration out of control. We can't offer French courses to those people. And the priority of l'OQLF is to go after the word go on buses. And it shows one thing, Elias, is that we need government efficiency in Quebec. We need to review programs. We need to cut spending like never before because our spending is out of control. We have a huge deficit. Our rating went down last week. And now we need a department of government efficiency. And one thing that we could do is start cutting people at OQLF, obviously, because there's too many people there if that's the only thing they have to do.
So I was going to ask you about this because, it's one thing to be outraged. And I think I'm going to hear a lot of politicians say they're outraged.
Yeah.
But I think, what do you do to change it? Because at the end of the day, right, they get a complaint, and in their minds, there's a bureaucrat that says, "Oh, this is a completely valid complaint." Absolutely. So would you shut down the OQLF? What would you do at the OQLF? I mean, you say Doge, you just cut employees, but should it exist?
You need to cut off those people. I mean, there's no way that your tax dollars should be used to answer complaints like that, and especially not to go forward and deprive people from using the word go. And by the way, it's much more familiar for any francophone, we always use the word go. Even the Parti Québécois and the CAQ, they use the word go. Like both François Legault and Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon used it on the social media. François Legault even had a campaign slogan, On se donne le go. He used the word go for his campaign slogan. Where was the OQLF to say that the CAQ slogan during the campaign was not good? I mean, it's completely insane. And you know what? What is sad at the end of the day, Elias, is that it's all the French community that looks terrible. It's bad for French to behave like that. The OQLF is not doing any service to the French language in Quebec because we have, it's important to preserve French in Quebec, but it's not with stupid actions like that they're going to do anything good for the French community. The
last election you campaigned on no to Bill 96, right?
Absolutely.
Very famously. Is that still your platform?
Of course, indeed. I mean, and this is another example of why we should stop trying to fight between each others. And actually, I want the harmony between the French and the English community in Quebec. And historically, we've been very good neighbors, good friends, and we use words of each other's community. And that's what language is all about. It's about communication. And when people hear go, everywhere around the world, we understand. And we have to stop trying to look at things to pick fights against each other.
Eric, you're pretty clear where you stand on it. I appreciate your time this morning.
Always a pleasure, Elias. Thank you very much.
Leader of the Quebec Conservative Party, that's Eric Duhaime. Let me go to our phone lines now. Sandy's in the Deej in NDG. Sandy, what do you think?
I hope that tomorrow night when I'm listening to the hockey game, I hear the crowd cheer, "Go Habs, go," so loud, and that shows OQLF we're not going to listen to them. That's what I hope.
There's the protest, huh? Tomorrow night at the Bell Center, the Go Habs Go has to drown out every single language hawk and OQLF inspector out there.
That's what I want to hear tomorrow night.
I love that. Hey, Sandy, listen, I threw out a question here, and maybe you don't have an answer for this one, but what do you think in your gut? By the end of the day, by 5 p.m. today, do you think the Premier of Quebec has called this ridiculous, or do you think he's standing by the OQLF? What's your prediction?
He's going to stand by them. He always has.
Interesting. Sandy, great call. Great call. I think a lot of people are going to heed your call on the Go Habs Go tomorrow. Let me go to Sunny in the West Island. Hey, Sunny. Is it sunny out there in the West Island?
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Indeed. Sunny. Very beautiful day.
Tell me what you think.
I just want to say it is ridiculous. And this Eric person, I wish he would run for the election.
He is.
To become the next.
He is.
I'm going to vote
literally
conservative anyway. So I'm glad to hear this because frankly, exactly like you said, we have issues with healthcare, housing. You want to limit on the construction of condos of a minimum of square footage per unit so people can actually live in the condos rather than having that housing crisis. So yes, it's beyond ridiculous.
It's amazing.
And I don't know how these government gets away with this. Honestly, I don't know how they get away with this.
It's dumb. It's dumb bureaucrats with way too much time on their hands. And, listen, I know DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, has gotten a bad name because of what's happening in the U.S., but lo and behold, I think Eric Duhaime has a point, right? When you have bureaucrats with too many resources and too much time on their hands, this is what happens. Sonny, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Let me scooch over to Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hi, what do you think, Stephanie?
At a time where people are struggling to put food on their table, I can't believe that language is still an issue. There are so many more important issues that need attention in Quebec that our government really needs to reevaluate their priorities.
What do you think, Stephanie? What's worse, Pasta Gate or Go Habs Go Gate?
They're equally as bad. Pasta is a universal word. Go Habs Go. I mean, it's been there for ages. Come on.
All right. Stephanie, thank you so much for the call.
Live, local, and letting you have your say. The Elias Macco Show. CJAD 800.
Iconic, isn't it? Isn't it iconic? When you think of sports and Quebec, that chant, Go, Habs, Go. Barbara in Beaconsfield writes me this note that they love the suggestion we had from a caller just a few moments ago that tomorrow night at the Bell Center, we should have the loudest Go Habs Go chant we've ever heard. And for those of you just tuning in, it's not because we want to show Canadians pride. It's a protest. Because coming in this morning, the breaking news, the Montreal Gazette with this one. Great work from the Gazette on this. So the OQLF has told the STM, Montreal's Public Transit Authority, that they need to remove, and they've done it, by the way, that the word go from the Go Habs Go on the front of the bus that you see every now and again, they can't use go. It's already been switched to Allez Canadiens, Allez. Now let's find out. We heard from the Conservative Party of Quebec. Let's get the take from the Liberal Party of Quebec. Madwa-Nika Cadet joins us on the line, the official opposition critic for the French language. Madame Cadet, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Elias. Go Habs Go.
Okay, well, there you go, right? So let me ask you, when you see this story this morning, what goes through your mind?
Oh my God. When I saw this story this morning waking up, I told myself it would be funny if we were not talking about taxpayers' money. This is very ridiculous. Can you imagine, per the article, like an OQLF advisor visited 5 workplaces between February and May to go and check like if they had a proper use of the French language on their platform. So for me, this is absolutely not an appropriate use of taxpayers' money, especially, as you were just saying, like for something that unites all Quebecers. Nothing unites us more than sports, and especially hockey, and especially the Canadian team. So this is something that it was not warranted, especially just thinking the other thing that I told myself, like, go Habs Go, for me, that's not even English. That's actually Quebecois saying, like a very Quebecois saying that everybody says when there's someone from Beauce or for Chicoutimi who goes to the Bell Center to go and watch a Habs game, what they chant is Go Habs Go, and they do it like with pride because that's our team.
So having said that, does your party have a policy that would stop stories like this from happening? Because it seems to me, if you allow anonymous complaints and you have people in the OQLF with tons of time and tons of resources, this will continue. So what is your policy, the Liberal Party policy, that would see stories like this not happen again?
Well, first thing, I mean, if you heard us all week during question period, like we talked about like the S&P downgrade and how like one of the main issues is the fact that there's been like too many fonctionnaires, so too many people like working for the public function who do not necessarily do something that gives Quebecers services, like in healthcare, like in education, when we actually have people missing. So when we think of like doing like a great, like a grand ménage, like looking at like where that there is actually a waste of taxpayers' money, and we're not saying that UQLF is a waste, we're just saying that having someone who was was able to go 5 times to visit 5 SEM workplaces to go and inspect their use of the French language in this particular situation, that does not seem like a warranted vision. So the first thing is our overall the overall sense of making sure that we use proper use of the taxpayers' money. But the other thing is also, as a French language critic, the other thing that I told myself is to make sure, like the OQLF doesn't necessarily, they have to, like when there's a complaint that is filed, because the complaint was filed in this particular situation, there are ways to handle this situation so it does not necessarily happen. And this is definitely something that I would like to look into.
So you would say that you would reduce resources at the OQLF? You'd be in favor of cutting budgets? Where there wouldn't...
No, we're not saying this morning in terms of cutting budgets for the OQLF in general, but when it comes to the way that this budget is used, because there's some ways that this budget can be used like in a very appropriate way, but obviously the way that it was used in this particular situation is not appropriate.
I want to thank you so much for coming on this morning on this story, which, I'm tiring of stories like this, but we got to talk about it.
And that does not protect the French language. I want to finish on this something. Yeah. This is so ridiculous because the real priorities are more money for French classes for everybody. As we asked, seeing the chaos of Francisation Quebec, it's investing in programs like the one of the Montreal Chamber of Commerce, the one that was pairing students with small business owners, to make sure that they learn French, a liberal program that I suspended for years. So these are real examples of how to protect French. But the way that this was used, no, this is not this is not how we protect French. And again, go Habs go.
Madame Cadet, thank you so much. Go Habs go. Thanks for coming on this morning.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Madwa-Nika Cadet is the Liberal MNA for Bourassa-Sauvé and also the party's critic on the French language. Okay, let me squeeze in some callers here. I'm going to go to D in Kirkland. D, what do you say?
Okay, totally different view of this. This is a trap for the leaders in the federal election because depending on if and how they respond, this could rile up the Bloc voters.
Interesting. But it is the Gazette coming out with this story. It's not like it's Journal de Montréal, right? So
they're aiming at the English so that they can the leaders will respond, and then the Bloc, they're going down in votes, right?
Yeah.
It's going to rile up the Bloc voters. It could.
That's very interesting. You wonder what Francophones think about this. And, I, on my Twitter, right, I have a lot, because I've been such a defender of certain Quebec ideals, particularly secularism, I have so many Francophone Quebec followers. I have a note this morning from a ton of French followers saying, I'm a separatist, I'm a language, I care about the French language. This is stupid. Another Francophone sending me a note saying these guys are crazy. The OQLF is crazy for doing this. So I don't even think among Francophones, even language hawks, I think they're shaking their heads at this one as well. But we shall see. D, thank you for your perspective. I appreciate it. Now, I do want to point this out. We did reach out to the Parti Québécois. They say they are not commenting on this story this morning. We also reached out to Eric Girard. He, of course, is the minister responsible for relations with English-speaking Quebecers. His office told us he does not have the time this morning. Okay? So there you go. You did hear from the Liberals and you heard from the Conservative Party of Quebec.
It's completely insane. And you know what? What is sad at the end of the day, Elias, is that it's all the French community that looks terrible. It's bad for French to behave like that. The OQLF is not doing any service to the French language in Quebec because we have, it's important to preserve French in Quebec, but it's not with stupid actions like that they're going to do anything good for the French community.
Leader of the Conservative Party of Quebec, Eric Duhaime, with his take on Go Habs Go Gate. We're calling it that. Listen, I did a poll on X at Elias Makos, by the way, if you want to see some of your text messages, by the way, which I've posted on my X. But I also posted a poll. What should we call the latest dumb Quebec language story? And you heard it in Tom Whalen's newscast. You've been hearing it with us this morning as well. The OQLF is telling the SDM you can't use the word go. For Go Habs Go, you have to write Allez Canadiens Allez. So 47% of you say it should be called Go Habs Go Gate. Include the full thing, Go Habs Go Gate. 27% say Go Gate. 26% say Go Habs Gate. So the leader was Go Habs Go Gate. That's what I'll go with for now. I have a text message from a listener before I get to our phone lines, and the lines are open on this one, 514-790-0800. A listener writes me this. I went to a little cafe in Spain. The waiter could not speak English. When he found out we were from Montreal, he yelled out, "Go Habs, go." The only English, I guess, or French he knew. That from Mars. Love that name, by the way, Mars, and thank you for sending us a text message. And get a load of this, how fast things work in this province. There is already an anti-Bill 96, Go Habs Go anti-Bill 96 rally that is being planned tomorrow for the Bell Center, 6 to 8 tomorrow. An Go Habs Go anti-Bill 96 rally. Now, I should point out, Mark Perez, who I think is running for the People's Party of Canada in this upcoming federal election, he is behind this. He's posting this on the NDG pages over on Facebook. So there's already going to be a rally. Let me go to our phone lines here. Very patient people that want to talk about this. Marco's in Côte St. Luc. Talk to me, Marco.
I'm more in favor of a compromise. What about adding the word le in front of go, and then we'll have le go Habs le go.
Oh, it's perfect branding for the premier.
I think we should chant that.
I don't like that.
We'll have the politicians on board and everybody else.
So, Marco, can I ask you something seriously? In your heart of hearts, the gut feeling here. By the end of today, okay, by 5 p.m., do you think that François will go, the Quebec government will say, hey, this is ridiculous? What you can say go on the buses. What do you think they're going to, or are they going to stand by the OQLF and say, no, they did the right thing here? What do you think they're going to say?
I think he's going to be silent on the matter because it's going to be, it's playoff time. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to comment right now.
I mean, this is the stupidest thing, right? Because it's playoff time. We should be talking about the Habs. You know, tomorrow it's do or die for the Habs, right? They're down 2-0. You have to win on home ice. And we're going to be talking about Go Habs Go for crying out loud.
That's right. So I hope the listeners chant Le Go Habs Le Go. I think that would be catchy.
All right, Marco. Thanks very much for the suggestion. Appreciate it.
Please.
François. Frankie, talk to me. Let's go to Donna in Vaudreuil. Hey, Donna.
Well, we're good entertainment for the rest of Canada because every time something happens like this, it's just totally ridiculous. And I think Eric Duhaime was bang on exactly what he said.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's saying it out loud. He's sticking with his no Bill 96 platform, which is much further than a lot of other parties go, right? So I think, every time he comes on, he talks about this. I know he scores points with listeners. At the end of the day, he's got to start winning some seats, right, if he's going to affect any change. Donna, thanks very much for the call. Let me go to Tony in Rosemount and 514-790-0800 if you want to get involved in this one. Tony, what do you say?
Elias, if you have a problem, you have to go to the root of the problem to solve it. They should take the money from the QLF, whatever the hell it is there, and use it to teach the French-Canadian kids how to speak French properly. And that's the way you will later on have the French protect the French language, not by the stupidity of attacking billboards and all kinds
Can I tell you, Tony, I think you're so bang on, by the way. And the future, long term, and I'm talking long term, hundreds, 200 years here, the vitality of the French language. To me, it comes down to one thing, and that is ensuring every Quebecer, and that means even those in the English school system, ensuring that every Quebecer, when they go to school in Quebec, when they leave high school, they leave with impeccable French. If you did that, and I got to say, maybe some Anglophones would be upset on that front. Like, I think the Quebec government, the great compromise for this province should be under 18, we're going to make sure you speak French, you go to school, you learn French properly, and every single Quebecer, it doesn't matter your background, you have to learn French. And then, you know what, once you turn 18, you get into the business world, you get into other facets of Quebec life, you're an adult. We're going to let people be adults and make decisions. But if you made sure every single Quebecer learned French impeccably, the French language never die. Never die. Doesn't matter the immigration situation. Doesn't matter. I think that. So I'm back. I think you're so onto something here, Tony, when you talk about education. Let me go to Adam. Adam, what do you say, Adam?
I think it's stupid, wasting money like always with this CAQ government. My new chant would be Legault has to go. That's it.
Legault has to go. I like that better even than the Legault Habs
Totally
Legault.
unacceptable.
Legault has to go. Legault has to go.
It's
like
a
just
dream team.
That's
it's
great.
crazy that this government can say they don't have enough money, but they have enough money for this kind of stuff. It is mind-boggling that we're in 2025 and we're still with this type of nonsense in our government.
Yeah.
It is. I can't even say the word anymore on the radio.
Adam, am I naive here? Because I think at the end of the day, by the end of today, by the business hours of today, 5 p.m., we are going to hear from the Quebec government, and they're going to say this is stupid and ridiculous. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, right.
Just like they did with the library thing. Remember the library that said, oh, you can't have an English class at a library? The Quebec government said, no, that's nonsense.
It is nonsense. But Legault is like a Trump. He won't back down. He won't say he's sorry. That was a mistake. They're not like that. Like, any politician will not say, oh, we made a mistake. They're so hard-headed and their egos are so high up there, that no matter what anybody says or does, oh, we can't go back on it. It's unfair how we get treated.
Adam, ciao, Adam. I got to get to everyone else here. Thanks so much for the call. Let me go to Laval. Laval, which is now a quarter English, by the way. We talked about that last week on the show. Alex in Laval, what's the view from Laval?
Well, I believe that Aller Canadien Go is good for Quebecers to say that they're Canadian and not Quebecers. I think it's good for that, but it's a crazy thing. You want to teach French people not to say English words? Well, start with all the French radios. Never play English music ever again. And maybe that'll send a message to the Quebecers.
Yeah.
Stop listening to English music, only French music. And, like the horses used to have the sides on the sides of the eyes to look only forward, and let them just look at French and nothing else. And maybe that'll resolve the situation.
Alex, thanks very much for the call. I wonder, maybe we can bilingualize. We can make Go Habs Go bilingual and do Go Habs Aller, and then they give us back Bonjour Hi. There's a compromise there. I get a lot of notes, by the way, on the school system. Elias, school system has been immersion since the 80s. The English school system has been immersion since the 80s. I want to say something here. I went to immersion in high school in Quebec, EMSB, Laurel Hill Academy. And because I had fantastic teachers, I'm never going to forget it. Mademoiselle Cohen. I had her for 3 of my 5 years. She was amazing. So I left high school with a very good knowledge of French. English school system in this province, right? But I have to say, and I've spoken to people, that they sheepishly admit they went to English schools and they didn't get the level of French they wanted, right? So I think it's a bit of hit or miss, but I think we do have to highlight there are a ton of English schools now that do a fantastic job. And, on the bilingualism front, obviously, the reason why you need to teach French so well is so you can also teach English well to Francophones in schools. Got to do both.